with a moment of honesty. And the honest thing is, not one of us know exactly where AI is going. What we see right now are new models introduced, feels like every week, new capabilities, and new questions. And while I think it's clear to everyone in this room that we cannot stand still at this moment, we cannot wait for all of the conditions to be perfect in order to progress, we are moving with AI. We are also looking to say, hey, what are the things that AI is capable right now of doing, and making sure that we're not rushing or trying to force fit AI into something that it is not great at. This is something that we spend a great deal of time thinking about at Degreed, which is why Taylor and I are here today to talk to you about how we approach experimentation. We think about experiments as not only figuring out what works, but what works well enough to make it into our product, and what works well enough to make it into our product that is actually worth the effort to put into our product, because it delivers on that bigger impact, more speed, and lower total cost. We hope you'll take away a few things today that you can apply in your own organization as you approach experimentation with AI. And I am glad to hand it over to Taylor to kick us off.
Thank you, Nikki. I'm Taylor. I lead a team at Degreed called Degreed Experiments. And we do just that. We experiment with AI. We try to figure out what it is great at, what it is not yet very good at, and where we think we'll continue to need and rely on that human expertise. We have a booth at the back. We'd love for you to come talk to us. I think, especially for the introverts in the crowd, come talk to us at the Experiments booth. That's what we're all about. I feel like Jen and Casey, I can still feel their extroverted energy up here. I'm trying to soak it up so I can use that throughout the day. But to really talk about experimentation, I'm going to start with an otter on an airplane using Wi-Fi, of course. How else could we start talking about AI except for otters on an airplane? Now, Nikki, you actually put this on my radar. You flagged this as a great example of, this comes from Ethan Mollick. Ethan Mollick, if you don't follow him, you should. He's an AI thought leader, like a real thought leader, not like my next door neighbor.
Like an actual professor.
And he's a professor at University of Pennsylvania. My unemployed next door neighbor also calls himself an AI thought leader. There's lots of those these days, but no, he's the real deal. And he uses this as a test for understanding AI capabilities, especially when it comes to image generation. So he's run this test over the years to figure out how good is AI. Well, this is what it looked like a few years ago. I call this the nightmare phase of AI image generation, right? So you can see we have some otters. They look a little bit funny. They are literally on the airplane. They are on top of or flying through the sky. So these were AI image capabilities a few years ago. But of course, these things have been moving. They've been progressing. So this is the next iteration. We're getting better, we're getting better. The otters are now cute. They're actually inside the airplane. I love the one at the bottom that has a picture frame that they've like put on the wall next to them. It's like very cute. So
I always decorate the plane when I get on.
Don't you?
Yeah,
Yes.
I
I get on the airplane and I sanitize everything, and I'll have to add decorating to like the next step. So it's getting quite a bit better. But now, here's where we are now. The otters look realistic. The earbuds are in their cute little ears. They're using Wi-Fi on the airplane. This gives us this visual timeline to see how fast these capabilities are progressing, how good they are. But the thing that really surprised me is not just how good these images now are, but these particular images, these were generated over 2 years ago. This isn't state of the art. This is old news. right? The real state of the art, we have to go beyond image generation. We're now to videos. This is the otter boarding the plane. He has his satchel on his back. He's watching the plane take off, go down the runway. Still has a preference for the window seat. Is enjoying a cold beverage. Very adorable. Opens up his laptop to connect to the Wi-Fi. Now, when Ethan Mollick, and these are his tests that he ran, when he showed this video, there was a comment that said, you know, the most unrealistic thing about this video, and if you look, maybe you saw a couple things where you thought, oh, maybe that doesn't look quite realistic. This comment said, the most unrealistic thing is how fast that onboard Wi-Fi connected. But there were, and here let me say, this also is no longer state of the art, because this is 2 months old, of course, and things have changed. You'll notice the label on the soda can, it was a little bit messed up. That, in the last 2 months, has become a solved problem. Most of the camera frames were very fixed. Video generation models can now handle more dynamic camera motion. So again, now they told me I can't spend the whole time talking about adorable otters and AI images, but this is a great example that shows us how fast AI is progressing, where it's good, where it's not yet good enough, but now I know we're not just talking about AI image generation, but other AI capabilities as well.
Yeah. So the thing about our otter example is that evaluating AI images for us is actually very easy. You could see the progression. It's now more accurate. As we said, the otter's inside of the airplane. The otter is using a laptop. It's visual. It's visceral. You can tell when it has made it to a level that you consider good enough for whatever you are working on. On the other hand, we have things like AI reasoning. AI reasoning is also improving. It's improving rapidly, but it is much harder to discern, much harder to measure exactly how much better it's getting. And to be honest, there are so many different AI capabilities that are progressing simultaneously and rapidly, but at different paces. How quickly is our video generation advancing? How quickly are our avatar experiences advancing? We've got data visualization, we've got data analysis, we've got lots of work going on in tool and agent routing. And the extra complexity here is that it's not just any of these things progressing in isolation, they're also interacting, they're also working together and changing the output from one another. And so how does one kind of track all of this AI advancement that is happening real time and decide what is ready for use in your organization? Now, we like to think of this along a spectrum, and you probably do too. There are certain things that are good enough for sort of a joke or a LinkedIn post. That's what we might call a research preview. There are other things that are good enough for mission-critical systems, right? We're flying to the moon, and we need things to be precise. We need them to be robust. We need them to be reliable. And evaluating which of the capabilities are ready for the different stages along this spectrum is what we want to give you a little bit of sense for how we do that at Degreed. And the answer is, there is no better way, there might not be any other way than just straight experimentation. This is a crucial insight because it's through that experimentation that we figure out what actually works, what actually provides value in our product. We have our team of folks that are working with this every day, seeing not what's just technically feasible, although there's a lot of work going on what's technically feasible, but also what's value add. And they're publishing that, and Taylor's going to walk us through a couple of those experiments that his team has been going through.
Yes. So the goal of the experiments team is to be 9 to 12 months ahead of the stuff that you see us present and roll out in the product. So that's where this relationship between my team, Nikki's team. So this, I mean, yesterday we talked a lot about Degreed Maestro. Degreed Maestro started last year as experiments. I'm going to tell you the story of how we started to experiment around conversational AI. What I mean by conversational AI is not just typing and chatting with AI, but the voice-to-voice, having that real conversation. So this started over a year ago. And I saw some new technology come out, because if you remember, sort of more than a year ago, we weren't talking with AI. There were tools that would transcribe what you said, send that message, AI would return some text, you could have it read back to you, but it wasn't a live, natural conversation. But then I saw some technology that promised it could do this. And what, of course, was their first use case for this amazing new technology? They came up with this great new technology and they said, you know where we're going to use this? We're going to use this when you call your dentist and need to schedule an appointment. And how great would it be if you could, instead of talking to a human, you could talk to AI for scheduling your dental appointment. And I thought, please, let me just schedule my dentist appointment online. But
yeah, that's what I do.
I thought the technology was so cool, there's got to be some application for this in what we do in learning and development. I actually think my preferred use case for this would be AI that would make small talk with the dentist while they have their fingers in my mouth and they're asking me questions. That's what I would have paid money for. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. That's how it goes.
So we said, this is really cool technology, and this is part of this world of experimentation. These advancements are coming out all around us. How do we take what's happening in different domains, in different areas, how do we translate that to our world? So we started with an AI coach experiment. And these are some screenshots of what it looked like. So we said, hey, let's get this out there. People can talk to an AI coach. You'd push this button. It would start a conversation. We had to include in the instructions, you don't need to press anything to take turns, right? This was new. People were still figuring out that you could have these live conversations. We learned a lot from this. We got some really good responses. People were saying, this is amazing. I could see myself using this every day. This would be really useful. So we saw a lot of value. There were also a lot of limitations. So a year ago, the latency was poor. You'd finish talking, then you'd kind of wait a second, and then the AI would start talking, and it was kind of this awkward, it wasn't quite natural yet. And the voices weren't as realistic, weren't as natural as you'd like them to be. So there were certainly some limitations, but we saw a lot of promise. So what we did is we said, let's double down on these experiments. Let's figure out how can we improve and expand this technology. We started exploring giving the AI memory. So when you came back to the AI coach, it would remember the last thing you talked about. We explored connecting it to a knowledge base so that it was, if it was an AI coach, that it could speak to whatever specific leadership principles, kind of whatever specific knowledge you want it to draw from.
These are sounding so familiar.
Yes, I know. You'll start to get little bits of, you'll start to see where, you know, Degreed Maestro and its capabilities.
Dots are connecting.
They'll connect. You'll also see some things, I just have to tell you, that will never make their way into the product, in the product roadmap. But we're going to talk about those too, because even bad ideas can still be productive. So you see a lot of good ideas in here. There are plenty of bad ideas. I'll show you a few. This one was a bad idea, the multiple characters. I said, what if we could talk to multiple AI characters at the same time, like good cop, bad cop sort of idea? It didn't really work. It was bad. I don't think you're going to see that from us anytime soon. But also incorporating more specific workflows. So instead of just a single one-time conversation, what if we could design it for a learning experience where we We prepare you for kind of this role play or coaching conversation. Afterwards, we give you some feedback. Maybe we give you some insights. Maybe we send a report to your manager. Maybe we connect it to this integrated workflow. But then, May of last year, Nikki, do you remember what happened in May of last year? There was a big announcement.
It was, yeah, big one. This came out.
So OpenAI, after we had been doing all of this experimentation, they came out and said, hey, we are introducing voice mode to ChatGPT for free, for everyone. And Cassie talked about thinking and thunking. My stomach thunked when I saw this announcement, because I asked this question, is everything that we had just explored and invested in, is that just wiped away now?
ChatGPT can do it.
ChatGPT can do it. This happens all the time in AI land. You build this cool new technology, OpenAI comes and says, hey, it's now part of ChatGPT, it's free, it's for everyone. But what we learned was there were certain aspects that OpenAI was going to do and do better, and that we could just rely on the technology they were building. We didn't have to worry about improving the latency of the conversations. We didn't have to worry as much about making the voices sound natural. We could rely on the progressing technology. But what we realized was, especially when it came to the workflows, when it came to learning use cases, ChatGPT was not building for those things, the ability to get the feedback, the ability to connect it to your calendar and notify your manager and get those insights. So the workflow-specific things we realized is where the real value, the value we could provide was. So I love this one. This is, we took this AI role-play coaching conversation, and we said, what if we gave you real-time feedback while you're practicing, so that you don't have to wait until the end, right? You can just sort of see how you're doing at the time. Now, I'm sad to admit, these are my scores.
You're an introvert, Taylor.
I know, they don't let me on sales calls. This was practice your sales technique. My highest score was confidence. So not very persuasive, but somewhat confident. Yes, that's how I live my life.
Interesting juxtaposition.
Yeah. But we thought this, so we started experimenting with what are the ways that we can give people feedback to make this practice more effective. And we didn't stop there. We did lots of experiments, not just on the technical side, but also on how do we deliver these experiences to other people. Phone calls. What if your AI coach called you up on the phone? What would that be like? Not great for me. I don't talk to people on the phone. I never listen to my voice messages.
Ignore the call.
But maybe, what if we initiated that through a text message? What if it was integrated with your calendar? So, hey, I see you've got a call coming up next week. Do you want to role play that? Do you want to practice that? What if we embedded them in pathways? What if there were physical objects that could initiate these experiences? This is one of my favorites when it comes to the physical objects. This is my desk at home. And you see my laptop, and you see my monitor, and then there's this weird blue thing in the middle.
Yep.
This is my AI couch. What we did is we took a couch, and we embedded NFC technology into it, and now I can put my phone, whatever I want to, I can set it on this phone holder, and an AI coach will immediately start up and say, hey, Taylor, how's it going? Would you like to hear the AI news for today? And I can talk to it, and it can tell me about the AI news and what's happening today. And it's this fun physical reminder of, on my desk of interacting with these coaches. Well, Nikki, do you want to know any guesses where that couch is right now?
Oh, no. Oh, gosh. Where, Taylor? Tell me.
Apparently, it is the perfect size for a Barbie couch.
Oh,
so my
makes
daughters
makes sense. Yep.
have since stolen it, and it is living in
Are they getting
a
AI news,
pink
though?
dream house. Yeah, so Barbie is upskilling. Watch out. So this is probably going to be a one of one. But not all bad ideas doesn't mean they weren't productive. We learned a lot. Actually, there's an iteration of this idea, which is this, kind of these physical objects. We're giving these out at the experiments booth. This is, come up, grab one of these, tap your phone to it, and it'll launch one of our AI voice experiments. You can talk to AI about, it's going to ask you about how are you using AI in your role? What's working, what's not working? And then we aggregate those insights, and we can share out that information. So this was an evolution of this experiment.
Like I said, we're looking at all of the options, right?
All
Is
of the
this going to make it
options.
into product? We'll see. But your InfoSec questions, Taylor's going to show up with a credit card and start talking to your phone. But yes, we learn lots from all of these different experiments. We're playing with lots of different things.
So many iterations. We experimented with lots of different use cases. So we've talked about AI coaching, role-playing in practice, tutors, career conversations, skill review. Skill review was immensely popular. Apparently, when you take AI and skills, the two biggest buzzwords out there, and you put them together, there's a lot of interest. People loved it. This is an experiment that we shared, and people have just gone crazy for it. But there's another one here, the learning impact evaluation. This is one I'm really excited about. It was having a conversation with AI about, tell us about something you learned recently. Okay, now have you had a chance to apply it? Okay, so you applied that in a recent conversation. What was the impact of you applying that thing that you just learned? And what's the impact of that on your team in the business? And if you have enough of these conversations, you can generate these learning impact reports. These 8 levels correspond to the LTEM model, the Learning Transfer Evaluation model. So it's generating this report for us based on all of these AI conversations, right? So we really get to start thinking about what are new ways of doing things that we've tried doing for a really long time, like understanding the impact of learning. Now, these particular experiments, I think I posted on LinkedIn a couple times, hey, if you want to try out one of these experiments, give it a go. They've been tried thousands of times by over 1,000 people, hopefully some of you in this room, and we'd love for you to get involved in some of our other experiments. But what this has given us is over months of experimentation, months of iterations, lots of good ideas, lots of bad ideas, but all productive explorations. It's given us confidence and conviction in where conversational AI is ready, where it will be ready soon, and where it's not a good fit. Believe me, it's not a good fit for some things. I'll give you one example before I talk about where it is a really good fit. I had to do my taxes right before I came here.
Fun.
Conversational AI is not good for precise input of numbers. I was doing TurboTax. If I was doing that conversationally, I'd be like, wait, you lost how much money trading crypto? And you don't want to. It's not a precise input measurement. But what it is really good at is it's really good at engaging you in reflective conversations. It's almost impossible not to be engaged when you're talking to someone or when you're talking to AI. And what that does is it creates really deep engagement. It creates memorable experiences. It engages you emotionally more than if you were just reading something on a screen. I can tell you, in our experimentation, we've created some really powerful experiences. We've created some where the AI was actually rude. And let me tell you, you get annoyed, you get frustrated, you respond emotionally, you respond viscerally. It's really powerful, which means that these experiences need to be designed well. They need to be designed intentionally. And the other powerful thing here is they're dynamic, they're adaptive, right? The experience can be different for everyone. That AI executive coach, my conversation will be different than the conversation Nikki has. So they're personalized, they're flexible. The other really cool thing is that we start to be able to capture really nuanced information to provide feedback or maybe to get skill data. I saw someone say that people are 10 times, they're engaging with voice 10 times more than they would engage through a survey or through a form, right? So we're able to capture so much more information, more engagement, deeper experiences.
Nuances as well, yeah.
Yeah, and this is really the sort of confidence and the conviction that we brought to Nikki and team to say, hey, we found that conversational AI is really powerful in these areas, so let's see what we can do with it.
Let's do it. So hopefully a lot of you saw the makings of Maestro. A lot of those things that we've learned over this past year are exactly the foundations of what we were announcing yesterday. It's incredible what you can do when you put really powerful tools in the hands of domain experts. And here we have learning experts thinking every day about how to apply AI to solve the problems that we are all facing. Curating pathways, we're doing that. Customized coaching, we're doing that too. Are we going to do some of the stuff that Taylor showed you? I don't know. How do we make those decisions? We make those decisions based on the feedback that we get from you. We share those experiments, we share them on socials, we share them in calls, we see what's kind of resonating, we see where your problems adapt to these. Are we going to do that kind of real-time gamified dashboard? You tell me. I'd love to know. But the other thing is, we love to see the engagement data. So you can talk to me anytime, and I hope that you do. I hope you talk to my team. I hope you talk to anyone that you're working with at Degreed. But watching how you're interacting, seeing what you're doing in the experiments landscape is incredible data that we use to drive our decision making. So if you've got ideas of things that you wish you maybe could experiment with AI, I also encourage you to talk to Taylor. Let's see what's coming next from their team, just so you've got a little bit of a sense of where this might be going, what things are in our mind. Again, please share your ideas as well. This is our test kitchen, if you will. What if AI could ask everyone about a topic and aggregate insights? What might that unlock for you? What if we could simulate work environments and projects for new employees? How might that change an onboarding experience or get someone prepared for a client engagement? And what if AI could analyze our learning content and keep it up to date? Now, we talked about this one. This one we need sooner than later. I've talked to so many people this week and weeks prior saying, hey, look, we've got messy content. We want personalized recommendations. How can we use AI to help us wrangle what we got going on? So that one, we gotta connect there and get that into product sooner than later. I think it's already possible through our services a little bit in that content audit space.
Yep.
Now, we started by saying we're also going to give you a little bit of a sense of how you might think about approaching experiments with AI in your organization. And we started by saying that none of us can afford to stand still at this moment. But one of the things you might have seen, one of the things we want to bring to this conversation is just a word of caution in terms of how quickly we run and where we try to force AI to do something it's not yet ready to, and where we can look at AI that we might build for what it's great at today, anticipating what might come tomorrow. And Taylor and I were talking about this, and we said, you know what, we need to kind of make this really powerful for our folks. And Taylor had just come back from Costa Rica with his family, and Taylor said, he's telling me all about this trip, and I've come to love this example because he says, I was watching my children, they're playing at the edge of the beach, they're building this very elaborate sandcastle, we've got towers, they've got a moat, it's sort of perfect, the water's coming up, it's filling the moat, they were so proud, and then the wave washed away their sandcastle, and poor Taylor's children were devastated about all of their hard work washed away by the waves. And you know, the metaphor, it really kind of writes itself, right? Like there's a bunch of stuff. Taylor told you the example with OpenAI saying, hey, look, we can do voice now, where he thought, oh, all of our work is now washed away by this wave. And so we look to you and we say, hey, how can we think about our work? Are we building sand castles, right? Is the work that we're doing right now going to survive when the next wave comes in? And now Taylor was telling this story, and Taylor, what else was it that you saw on the beach that day?
Well, standing next to me as I was holding my little boogie board with a Disney princess on it,
yes,
next to me were actual real surfers who are also watching the waves, but with a different perspective. Don't worry, and Nikki, when the waves did come up and washed away my kids' sandcastle, and they were sad and they were crying, I said, don't worry, children, this is great LinkedIn content for me in the future, so it's all going to pay off in the future. But
that's what I would have said, too.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
We're constantly harnessing the power of our children for LinkedIn. But
yes.
Surfboards. So how might we think about what we're building with AI as a surfboard instead of a sandcastle? Now, a surfboard is literally built for movement. It is built to ride the waves. In fact, it is not very much fun without the waves. And so we want to give you this extended metaphor to take back to think, are you building surfboards with your AI experimentation? And that requires a little bit of an understanding of what are the waves in this case. Now, we think of the waves in a couple of different categories. The first one is new models. And new models are coming fast and furious all the time. If you are building a surfboard, you want to be thinking about, with your AI work, what is it that you have where the next model is going to let you go further, faster, like with our conversational AI. Now, if they release something that makes that AI faster, lower latency, more realistic in the voice, you are going to benefit from that. We're going to just pull that straight in. That makes the foundational work that we have done better. It makes it better. It doesn't wash it away. So thinking about how new models are going to help you go further, faster. Second piece, and this one I'm watching, the ecosystem is evolving. I mean, we're building tools. Other people are building tools. There's integrations. There's new frameworks for integrations. You're building your own co-pilots. We're building something. The ecosystem is also not standing still. So you want to be thinking about what you're building to see how it's actually interconnected with the systems that you already have, with the workflows that you already need to address the problems in your organization. The more that you're thinking about this as an ecosystem, the more that you're thinking about this as not something that's necessarily all solved in one place, the better you will be able to ride that wave as new things change in that ecosystem over time. And the third big wave that we think about is new ways of working. So AI is not just changing our technology landscape. AI is literally changing the way that we work. And again, I know I'm speaking to a room of people who live this every single day, but we are rewriting our jobs right now. We are rewriting what it means to work in an AI-first world. We need to be thinking about the processes that we're building with AI for what's coming next in the new ways of working, not only the ways that we have worked in the past. And if you're thinking about these waves as you are designing your new AI capabilities, you're probably going to think about them in ways that you're able to ride the waves as they come in. We will leave you today with just a couple of takeaways. So these are a few things where you think, am I really building a surfboard? Thank you for giving us sandcastles and surfboards. That makes a lot of sense. I understand what the waves are. Here's what we do when we think about experiments at Degreed and when we think about what we're building into our product. We say, build for depth, not just that surface level access. Now, what does that mean? You should be asking yourself the question of, is this helping someone to do something more effectively? I love this second part, not just giving them more to read. AI is prolific, right? It can produce tons of content really quickly, none of us need just more content. We need more content that helps us get the job done. We need something that helps us work better, work faster. Ties into the second piece. The second piece is make sure you are addressing an actual measurable need. There is so much stuff right now that is cool,
Very
right?
cool.
The cool thing, the couch with the AI news. I love it. It's super cool, right? Are we going to put that into product? Only when we can find a measurable need where that would be the solution. And we're not searching for a solution for that. We're just saying, hey, we're not searching for a problem that's the solution. We're just saying, hey, if this would work, who cares? And why do they care? What am I actually accomplishing? And the last piece that we said is investing in workflows. So thinking about how is this going to get better when the next model drops. If you have something that's integrated, it's a good experience. It's going to become an amazing experience. If you have integrated that into your organization, that is going to get only more powerful as the models improve, as your competence inside your organization improves. These are some of the ways that we think about experimentation at Degreed. This is how we kind of decide what makes it into product. And we do this because, as we all know, that wave keeps coming, the tide keeps rolling, and we are trying to build surfboards. I hope that helps. We wish you the very best. Thank you very much.